What I am doing today is I am going to show you the steps of going through and analyzing my channel and how I plan the content, how I decide what content I want. Basically, what my thinking is really all I'm going to give you is what do I do to reevaluate my channel. Now, one of the big things that a lot of new people in this YouTube world do is they get out there and they start doing something and then they refuse to change, thinking that they have to be consistent over and over and over. And consistency is important, but one of the things that you need to remember is that you need to adjust your channel appropriately as time goes by. I usually do this once every 3 to 4 months just to make sure that I understand A, that if my audience has changed, B, if I have content that's become extremely popular, how am I going to take advantage of that? C, if things have, a lot of the times, especially new channels, when you're small and you have no subscribers, you start off with one variation of content. And as time goes by, that changes. And so then you really need to evaluate your channel. So that's exactly what I do. Now, I'm about to hit 20,000 subscribers. And so for me, this is more about understanding where am I at in the game right now, today, with that number of subscribers and what kind of content changes. Now, I made some content changes back a few weeks ago, and I've got all kinds of different tools that I'm using to make those content changes happen. And I'm going to explain to you what those are and kind of give you an idea of the process I'm going through. So let's get started. What I've also done today is I usually use ChatGPT to assist me in building descriptions and coming up with ideas for thumbnails and hashtags and all that kind of stuff. I was reading an article that talked about, what is it called? Gonk. And it basically, let me see if I can get the right name here. Gork, I'm sorry, GORK.com. And that it is basically a, what do you call it? A more honest variation and doesn't have some of the filters on it that the ChatGPT does. I could see that. Now, I asked Gork explicitly, which one's better for me being a YouTube channel? And it basically said that the pay version that I use of ChatGPT is better than the pay version of Gork. Gork's pay version is $30. Its pay version is $20. Now, that said, it understood my channel, what I do, and what I was looking for. It also specifically said that if I was a humor channel or a meme channel or anything like that, which is kind of, based on comedy and fun and that kind of stuff, that I should be using it instead of ChatGPT. I was really surprised by the results. Anyway, let's get started with where I started my analysis. So I started my analysis, and I'm going to take you over to this screen here with a very simple request here to Gork. Now, in this example, I have gone through I've typed in a few of the things, got the answers, and was in the middle of this analysis when I decided to share this with you instead. So if you take a look at this, you'll see that I basically said my YouTube channel is about solar. I gave it the link to the YouTube channel. I said, I want to review all my prior content for best content strategies going forward. Can you do an initial analysis and suggest some content strategies for me? It thought about this for 70 seconds or so, 73 seconds according to it. I didn't realize that was on there. It thought about it for a little while, and it went over and kind of it talked about my channel, gave me some initial content on, let me see if I can get to that screen here, gave me some initial content on what's going on with it, how many subscribers I have. I'm sitting at 19.9. I'm less than 100 subscribers away from 20,000. I'm really looking forward to it. Focusing on primary DIY solar. I just kind of read through this to make sure that it made sense. It talks about how many videos I've got, what the length of them is. And what I'm looking for here is it substantially correct? Does it understand my channel? Does it understand my thinking? Does it see what I see? Because a lot of the times this can be very eye-opening, where you'll go in and you'll look at this description and it will talk to you about something completely off topic, and you're like, well, that's not what my intent for the channel is. In my case, it was pretty much exactly what I was looking at. But like I said, I do this in some variation every couple of months. So it's not really surprising that it matched kind of my description. It talks about my popular videos. It talks about content themes that I've got going on. This was one of the areas where it talked about some of the themes and did say a few things that I was a little bit surprised about. It talked about a lot of the budget hacks, which I hadn't realized I'd gotten into that extreme on it. But it's very accurate when I go back and look at it. It talked about some of the authentic on-hand style personal builds that I do, the niche focus with the DIY. It also talked about some of the weaknesses. This was where I find this very interesting, because what you're doing good is fine. I don't care if I keep doing that. What I'm doing wrong, that's the things I really want to hone in on and figure out how to fix. Viewer disparity, high performers on budget-focused builds and reviews and lives underperform. I was kind of surprised by this. I knew the reviews were a little bit low. I didn't think the lives were that bad, but there has been a drop in lives over the holidays and stuff like that. So maybe that's what they're referring to. I do see some increase in live participation recently. Limited variety of heavy reliance on solar shed, risking fatigue. And basically, they're absolutely right with that. I have made a lot of solar shed content recently, so that's something I need to fix. No clear external reviews and analysis, and Social Blade doesn't track your channel yet, but trends. So it's basically saying my SEO is a little bit weak, and so there's some external links that I could be getting that I'm not getting at this point. And content shows interest in Q&A, but more call to action could increase it. So this overall, it was really good. Suggested strong content strategy going forward. 80% output on Solar Shed. Some budget hacks for 1 to 2 videos here and there. And went on to talk about, how many types of videos and how long they should be and that kind of stuff, which I found all of that interesting. The one thing that I did find that it was not quite up to my specs is it didn't understand my content strategy. And it does say the strategy plays your DIY experience and scaling engagement, private analysis and top searches and return rates and So what I did at this point is I wanted to give it a little bit more of what I was thinking, because it didn't, the description that it gave up here, although it did highlight kind of what my content strategy has been, it didn't understand what it is going forward. So I wanted to highlight it to it. So I basically told it, look, my current content strategy, and this is something new that I just started, and I've built a couple of tools to help me do this, and I'll explain what those tools are. My content strategy for this has been to, start a new leaf at the beginning of the year and go to a release every 4 days. I took some time off over the holidays, and now it's time to really build as summer starts to get here, solar gets more popular, and my annual growth spurt is starting to happen, which is where I started my channel last year, and I didn't realize I started it on the growth spurt, and I've just had enough momentum to carry me through, and now I'm back to this time of the year of the cycle, so I really want to take advantage of it. So what I decided to do is on my content strategy is that every other video would be greening video, meaning a greening video or I call it greening. And basically what I mean by that is a video that doesn't age like a normal video. In other words, if I'm doing pulp culture something, or if I do something on a new device that comes out, or release a video on, a new soda that comes out on the market, it's going to get really popular for a few days. The new Mac computer or whatever comes out, it'll get popular and then it'll fade away. But if I do a greening video on, understanding the components of a solar system, or what size wire should I use for this or that, or how do what are the basic 3 elements that I want to grow my channel? Those are greening, what I call evergreen items that will live on forever. And they don't get old, and new people in that subject or in that content are always going to want to see them. So I came up with a greening schedule. So if I'm going to release, I decided I was going to release every 4 days. And that seems to be for my channel, after a bunch of analysis and playing around over the last year, it seems to be about every 4 days. It gets really difficult to do it more often than that consistently, and any slower than that, and I seem to get backlogged with videos and things that I want to do that I don't have time to do, or I don't have space in the schedule to do. So if I'm going to do it every 4 days, that means that every 8 days, I'm going to have a greening video. So that I set the schedule up. Now, a lot of people ask me, how do you come up with the ideas? And this is where I'm going to take a little bit of detour away from the analysis of the channel and show you the content strategy of the channel. So what I do is a very simple process, is I start off with a stack of index cards that sit next to me every night. And I don't think you can see that real clear. Let me see if I can put it on this screen here. I start off with a stack of index cards every night when I am sitting at my watching TV, sitting around. I always have them around. And anytime an idea comes up, I put that idea on an index card and throw it in a stack. I don't have to do a whole lot from it at that point. Now later, I will go into detail and highlight what the idea is, what I think the idea is, and if I'm hot and I think I need to do that right then and there, then I do it. But this is the key to, I look at these as every one of these is a little piece of gold or a video that I might produce. And sometimes these turn into videos, sometimes they turn into series of videos. But in this case, I basically took my content strategy and said, okay, look, if I have these ideas, let's just start writing them down. So I started writing them down. What is an inverter? What is a charge controller? What is a solar panel? What is a battery? And I just started writing everything down. I didn't worry about what is a good idea, what is a bad idea, or anything like that. I worried about just getting all of them that I could think of at the time that the idea was hot in my mind down on an index card. Now, it's important to me to do it on an index card. And I do this with everything in my life. I do this with my real job. I do this in getting things done around the house, you know, where I keep a list of, instead of keeping a list of things, I keep a stack of index cards. Now, this allows me to lay the index cards out. I first go in categories across the table this way of, this is my solar channel, this is my home repairs, this is my to-do list or whatever, and I will lay them out like that. Then I sort them by what is the most important to me to get done first. And I put those at the top of the stack. And then I go down to the second part of the stack and I say, okay, well, which ones would be nice to have if I had all the time in the world? And then I go to, well, which ones of these do I really not, I think they're a good idea, but I'm really not in the mood to make them. I don't like the idea. And then the bottom of the stack is, these are not feasible to be made. And what I mean by that is, if I say, hey, I would like to install a new house system that has, blah, 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 and it's going to cost me $100,000. It's not practical to spend $100,000 to install a system to make that video. So we would go at the bottom of the stack. This lives on forever with me. I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cards that I keep sorted this way, and a huge table in my video studio that I lay the cards out on the table, and I just start working with them and building categories. And one of those categories that I came up with was my greening content. And as you can see here, this is my first 9 greening videos. These are all done. So what I did is I sorted them into a couple of phases. Phase 1, these are the basic pieces of the solar system. Phase 2, these are the basic tools of the solar system. Phase 3, phase 4. And I just started, then I knew my schedule. I just started looking at the list and seeing which ones were important to me, which ones were easy to build, which ones were hard to build. Then I built this schedule to help me understand, see if I can show you this, there we go. I built this schedule to understand when I was going to release things. So my greening videos would be released on March 28th, March 8th, March 16th, March 24th, March 1st, blah, blah, blah. This is every 8 days. And then alternate to that is over here on this side, the other videos would be released on the 4th, the 12th, the blah, blah, blah. And as you can see, as I make these videos, I just put a checkbox in there to call that particular video done. And then I know that my schedule, like right now, I could do nothing until April 5th, and I have all my content would release on time and everything's done. The nice part about doing it this way is now that I have the ability to have subscribers, once you get monetized, you can have subscribers. It's very easy to go in and say one of the benefits of being a subscriber is that you get to see all the video content early. So if you become a subscriber to my channel, all these videos are available to you today. Now, you can promote that and you can push that, and the more you talk about it and stuff on your channel, the better your subscriptions do. It's not the only thing you can offer, but it's one thing that I can offer without doing a whole lot of additional work to get a couple of extra dollars a month. Is it a bunch of money? No, it's not. It's coffee money. Coffee money is important. Speaking of coffee, there's my coffee mug sitting right over there. I didn't get to make coffee before we started here today, so I'm going to be drinking Mountain Dew instead. All right, so that talks about the schedule, how I come up with the content, how I organize it. Now that I've done that, I'll go back to Gork. And so I explained to it, hey, I have a schedule now. I publish long form every 4 days, with every other video being a greening video and an alternate videos, 2 hands on DIY, 5 things about X. And what I meant by that is the top 5 things you should know about solar, the top 5 things you shouldn't do if you're traveling in an RV, whatever it is. That's kind of one of my popular formats, so I like to keep that. A new tool. I've learned that occasionally I buy a new tool, and when I do, it makes for a really good affiliate thing. So if I bought, like last month, I bought a new solar panel tester, and it made for a fantastic video. And of course, while you're doing that, you sell several of them because you're an affiliate link on each of these. So that said, we basically, I lost my screen. Sorry about that. Here we go. So now I said 5 things video, a new tool video, and then tossing in a monthly product review. I've changed my product review this time of year, where I'm charging a little bit, and I'm not just doing it for anybody who sends me a bunch of garbage to take a look at. So the videos have slowed down, but when I do them, I can do a good quality review, which has really been good, and it brings more credibility to it. Now, at first, if somebody said they had a battery they wanted me to review, I'm like, great, send me a free battery. I'd love to take a look at it. Now I look at it more of, I'm going to spend a lot of time working on this, and I have all this other content that I can do. If I don't need that product, now don't get me wrong, there are certain systems that I do take that way, but that's a matter of where your channel is and how big you are, what you can do. The greening I increased the past month for long-term growth focus to shorts. I started pushing more often. I am doing shorts daily for the 2 weeks window right now, but think of changing that to every 2 to 3 days. The educational shorts promote my long form video, and lead long form seems to be the best. In other words, I was trying to explain to Gork that, hey, I'm producing videos of shorts every day right now. I want to change that to every 2 to 3 days, and I think that educational videos that refer to the long form videos seems to be what does best for me. Now, Gork was smart enough to go out and analyze that for me and say, okay, first of all, subs and overall stats are holding and blah, blah, blah. It goes into another one, recent long-term content patterns, and it confirms the patterns that I have and stuff like that. But what's really fine is it goes in and it refines the content strategy again. And it basically talks about the cadence is realistic and how hard would it be to keep up with that. Research shows that a lot of people that do, if they do it all on one subject and don't have this mix of videos, they suffer from burnout. So that was interesting to know. Alternating evergreen and engaging formats is like DIY. List is genius balance of long-term SEO and short-term engagement, which was the intent when I made that change. I wanted one to focus on far out future, consistent, slow, good growth. And I wanted the other to focus on what's hot right now that attracts people and views and that kind of thing. And hopefully between the two get a good growth. So he confirmed that was what was going on. I say he, it confirmed, whatever you want to call it. I'd aim to hit 25K subs by mid 2026 and focus on hooks, thumbnails, cross promoting for your Florida. So here it's suggesting that I use my location where I live, Florida, as a promotion piece and become focused in on hurricanes and living in what is really an issue for people who live here, subsidizing power when the power goes out for a hurricane or something like that. I think that's a really good idea, but I hadn't thought of it. So that was really kind of cool. It refined my schedule a little bit, stick to every 4 days, between 7 and 8 videos a day. It lets the algorithm promote fresh content without overwhelming the viewers. That was another thing that I realized when I made this schedule originally, is that if you notice when you post videos on YouTube, if you post too many of them in a row, it'll show up on somebody's feed of Bob posted 3 videos or Bob posted, 2 videos. And then you got to open it up to see what they are. And then usually I pick the one I want to watch if I even bother to look at it because it was buried behind a click. So I wanted to slow the video down enough to where that didn't happen. Now, I'm fearful that my releasing shorts so often may cause that to happen where I have a regular video and a short. Most of the people are kind of significantly different from me. It's about 60% the shorts people stay exclusively with shorts. About 15% of the long form people stay exclusively with long form, and about 25% watch both. So 25% of my viewers can have that problem. So that's something that I had to think about. It goes on to explain the evergreening content, the hands-on video, the 5 things, kind of outlines a real idea of what I should be doing and how it should work, which basically matches the schedule that I have built on this card, kind of confirming what I was looking for and all of that. Then it goes on to show some tips for success about increasing. The greening was a good move. Customer testimonials and solar storage, giving me some suggestions on things, videos that I should create, which I hadn't thought about. Some of them, the customer testimonials I have, but increasing storage, I hadn't really thought of it that way. It's a really good idea though. Also talked about optimizing hooks, like I saved $500 doing this. In my titles and thumbnails, which I don't do a lot of that. It's something that I need to learn to do, is to leave that question there, and he's confirming that I'm lacking in that. So I'll have to focus a little bit more on my thumbnail and title to make sure that I'm doing it. Now, this is what's really important about looking and reading feedback like this. He's not making suggestions directly that I need to take. He's pointing out weaknesses of the overall channel. And this is something, when you look at this, you need to look at it that way. He's not saying, go make more videos that say $500, say I saved $500 doing this. He's saying, I lack a hook in a lot of the videos that I have out there. This is a very important point in my mind for me to understand. It also says right above that, keep it at 8 to 15 minutes and add chapters for better retention. So what I think what he's implying there is that I've got some videos that are too long or too short and lacking in retention. Now, the lack of bluntness here is where I could go back and say, look, I need you to be brutally honest. And you know what? We will do that here in just a second. I'll go in and say, I need you to be brutally honest about things that overall I could use to increase my channel. The short strategy refinements, daily trial for 2 weeks is bold. Data shows 3 to 4 shorts a day can spike growth if quality holds, but it's at risk of burnout in the niche like solar. And that's the part that worried me, is if I burned out, or I burn out my viewers. That's what's really, I know that if I'm watching YouTube and I see the shorts coming from some particular one of my feeds over and over and over, and they're all kind of around the same subject, it's very annoying. And so that's something I want to try to avoid. Now, short creation. In this 2-week window, I used the vidIQ tool to separate out and create my shorts. I have kind of leaned against doing that up till now, and this is why I ran the test. I have found the most success when I go out with intention to build a short the same way I go with intention to build a real video. In other words, if I build a video on building a small 12-volt solar system to run a refrigerator when the power goes off, then build a short that does exactly the same thing and leave out enough hooks to bring them over to watch the long video. And the time spent here is much better than taking this and cutting it up over here. The performance is much better. But that means that you have to intentionally spend time over here, and the content over here has to be good enough and attractive enough to get people in the first place. So that's kind of where there's a fine balance there. I'm testing it right now to see if the cuts and the slips can actually work. I think that based on what I've seen so far, I do get views, but I haven't seen any of those breakout videos. And I like the breakouts. I would rather have one breakout get 5,000, 10,000 views, one, short get 5,000 or 10,000 views, than do no work and get 5 that do 500 views or 10 that do 500 views. For me, it just seems like the likelihood of getting one that's a banger is really much higher when you do that intentional video, which is where a lot of my subscribers and stuff come from, is those shorts where I have had that banger. I've got one that's approaching 1 million views, and it is one that I intentionally set out to do that was on a very popular subject. I saw a video that was successful, and I grabbed that video and I said, let's make a short about this. And then I made a long video to promote with it. So it was a basic concept that was working, turned into a short. The short turned into another long video. And believe it or not, that long video and that short are my best 2 videos to this day. So that's been the strategy there. Content focus, double down on educational promotion. 70% of that lead to long form. Quick tip, wire panels in parallel, focus, watch the full guide. 30% fun quick, solar myth busted in 15 seconds. So it's giving some really good suggestions here. Now keep in mind, some of these you can take directly, but look at the overall theme of it, and we'll ask him to do that. Best practices, 12 to 3 or 7 to 4 for weekends, max of reach and audience. 30 seconds, which I do my live stream at 7 o'clock Eastern time, so that's perfect. On Monday nights, except the one here for the YouTube channel, I do it just whenever I can, and lately it's been Saturday afternoon when I have time. Overall growth, monetization boost, audience targeting, it's basically defining who I should be focusing on. And that usually can lead to a couple of ideas. And as I was reading this, I would go through and just start building some index cards. If you have an idea, put it on an index card. You can buy a big pack of these index cards for $2 or $3 and have hundreds and hundreds of them, and just keep throwing them on that stack. And then one day you'll get in the mood to sort them all out and figure out which ones you want to build and which ones you don't. And don't worry about good or bad idea. Just get the ideas out of your head and get them written down. Monetization, push class harder at the end screens. I do not, I'm weaking in that. I am very weak in that. I don't promote it as much as I should. Risk diluting with non-solar. I did have another channel that I have. It's Build Unbound, and I do a lot of just handyman fix-it type stuff. And I built a fence there. The fence was related to the mounting solar panels vertically, but he didn't know that. So he points it out as I shouldn't do unrelated unrelated, what are they called? Worked collaborations with other people, and I have done a few of those, so that I'm guilty of that. All right, so it basically goes into all of that. So let's ask it now for, can you give me a very direct and honest top 10 list of channel overall improvements that I can start, and top 3 things I should stop doing today. Now let's see what it comes up with. And I haven't actually done this yet, so it is, there it goes. All right, so let's go up here and say, take a look at this. This is very direct, honest top 10 list of channel improvements. And this is where you're gonna find some really, really good ideas here. And you should take some of this with a grain of salt. Sometimes it's wrong. So some of them you need to see what the overall intention is, and some of them you need to pay attention to, and some of them you need to test and make sure that they're actually legitimate. Fix thumbnail game immediately. Fix thumbnail game immediately. Your titles are descriptive and good for SEO, but your thumbnails need massive upgrade. Use bold text as big mistakes and red, yellows, and face. I don't know what it means by that. I'll have to take a look at that and see. I thought my thumbnails all have big text on them, nice and clear. I'm pretty good about that, so I'll take a look. Standard video structure for better retention. Start a video in 5 to 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So that I'm probably very guilty at. That I'm probably very guilty at, that I don't follow the standard procedure all the time of making a video, and that is something that in my reviews has led to a much higher retention. So that I could actually see. I'll take that into account and start looking at every video with a critical eye to, do I have the hook at the beginning? Is it right? Is it correct? Do I need to record something special for that piece of it? Batch and space out uploads instead of dumping 5 in 1 week. I always do that. Recent parent is 3 videos in 3 days, risk viewer fatigue. That's because I'm doing a short every day. I spread them out every 4 days, so that's not an issue. Double down on proven formats such as growth subs, 5 biggest mistakes, how I scored 43 panels. That's wonderful, and I'll do that. I'll go take a look at all of the top performers and double down on all of those. And do a refresher video. That was one of the things I did at the very beginning of the year for the first month before I came up with this new strategy, is I looked at what was popular last year, and let's do a 2026 version. Make the first couple videos of the year, 2026 version of how I found panels, which is one of these talking about is one of my best ones here. It's been my best performer this year. Add more personality and on-camera energy. Your content is knowledgeable and helpful, but educational channels grow faster with relatable personality. Show frustration during a wiring fault, laugh at mistakes, and film your actual shed more viewers. Subscribe to people, not just info. Yes, I did a video on exactly that last year about, I have a code violation and what I had to do to fix it. And I also did another one. I did hanging an inverter, and I showed me mounting it 4 times before I got it right. So I think that I think what it's saying here is not specifically that I don't do this. It's saying that I need to make sure I do this often because it brings authenticity to the person who's running it. Anyone who says that I am not energetic is probably crazy. I have just the opposite problem sometimes. I need to tone it down a bit. Revive and promote the Solar Shed series hard. It was a signature before Basic Flood. Make it recurring. Solar Shed update number 12. Add a smart monitor. Basic binge. I did that last year, and it is actually one of my highest, I got the highest number of subscribers for it, where I combine the popular content into a master class solar shed or something like that. I'm going to have to look at that. That's a really good idea. I need an index card for that one. Master class solar shed. Okay. I'm going to put that on my list of items to build, because that's a really easy, the master class type thing are really easy videos to build. And when you find content that works and you make 3 or 4 of them and they all work, putting them all together for this long video, especially when you're trying to get watch hours, is super, super contributed to, which is probably why I haven't built it since last year, because I got monetized and I haven't really needed the watch hours. So I stopped paying attention to that type of thing, but I need to look at that. Because it was also, I remember looking in one of my reviews, it was also one of my highest subscriber rates too. Optimize shorts to funnel harder for long form. Yeah, I need to do that. Really, really, really need to do that very hard. A lot of the times I make the shorts and I don't funnel them directly to something specific. And I've started doing that the last couple of weeks, but I want to get much better at it, where when I release a video, that I focus on an intentional content around that video that does a short version of it that pushes that one. It leaves enough of a hook that they want to come and watch the long form, but has enough in it to where if they watch it, they feel satisfied and I've delivered on my promises. Push community engagement daily. Push community daily polls, community, which is what is your biggest. This I did for a while, and then I stopped for a while, and I just posted one the other day. The community engagement really does make a difference when you're first getting started. It probably will make a difference too as the bigger I get. You get more and more of a response. So it's very, very important that you do that. And it's easy to do because you can just say, live stream coming out Tuesday, or what do you think? And you can come out here to ChatGPT or this and say, look, in my solar channel, I need a question for this week. And it'll give you a question. You just go post the question. You don't have to do a whole lot. Sometimes the results lead to really good content later. So make sure that you keep that stack of index cards around where you can get that content later. Audit and cut low performers. Focus on monetizing hooks. Check analysis for videos with less than 30% retention or low CTR. Even don't remake them. In every video, promote your DIY solar class stronger. Get a full wiring diagram and blah, blah, blah. This is all my promotional content. For videos with less than 30% retention or low CTR, and don't remake. Oh, I see what it's saying. So only do the remakes of the ones that are doing well and not the ones that are doing bad. That makes perfect sense. 3 things to stop doing today. And this is going to be interesting. Stop uploading 4 to 7 shorts, educational basics videos in the same week. All right, I'll do that. It was a test. I shouldn't have done it. I thought it was a bad idea when I did it, but I thought, let's give it a shot. Stop under promoting your paid class. It's mentioned, but not aggressive enough for hooks at end of CTAs and pushing. So the reason that this is actually, the reason it's doing this is I started with a solar class. I released it at the end of the year. It did pretty good. I got enough members in it to take care of everything and to do what I wanted to do. I stopped promoting it because I found out that there's a very small niche for that big class that I built. What I need is a subset of that class, which is going to be, a much smaller ticket price and much more appealing to, going back to that feedback from earlier. Everyone here is looking for a deal. I don't focus on those big people doing home installations and stuff like that, where they're spending tens of thousands of dollars, and spending, $500 or $1,000 on a class is no big deal. They're going to want that $99 class, that $149 class or whatever. So that's kind of why I've stopped promoting it, is I want to build that class, take a subset of this content and put together some new content and some of my basic greening videos and put them into a very organized, educational, quick, hard-hitting $100, $150 class that I can then start promoting to the masses, and then have the second bigger class as an option for those people. So it's a very legitimate, very legitimate. Stop ignoring thumbnails and title testing. Rely on plan and generate. It says that I'm ignoring them, but I am not ignoring them. I run thumbnail tests almost all the time. The problem that I have with thumbnail tests, and YouTube, if you are listening, when I put in a thumbnail test and I have it under member only switch to normal, the damn test starts when I give it to the members only. Well, if I have it out there for the members only for 2 weeks, I get no results from the thumbnail test because there isn't enough members to view it. The thumbnail test needs to start when the video goes public. Please change this, because I always forget to go back and revamp the video and put in a thumbnail test after it goes public. I don't have time to go back and look at a video that I built 2 months ago and update it. Please, YouTube, pay attention. Fix this stupid bug. It is super annoying. Unless I have 1 million subscribers to my channel, I'm not going to get enough views to make that work. Okay. That is basically, in a nutshell, what I do to basically see where I need to go and what kind of upgrade. So what did I learn today? One, I need to pay closer attention to my promotions of my sales products, my things. I need to pay close attention to my thumbnails and stuff, and make sure that I do have titles and stuff in there, and make sure that the descriptions they say are matching, but the thumbnails themselves don't. So I'll have to check that. 3, I need to make sure that my A/B testing is more safe, and I either need to come up with a schedule to update those after the videos come out, or I need to have YouTube fix their stupid bug. And then a lot of other things that I learned was the content, the schedule that I want is a good one. And there was, quite a few things that we went through there, and I learned from it. I encourage you to go out and do this on your channel. Understand where you're coming and do it on a regular basis. You think you know what's out there, but to be honest with you, this constantly changes with me. Like, for example, this review is the first one it's talked about me not promoting things in the past. It's something that I probably was doing much more aggressively and stopped, because I'm thinking about creating a new class, and now it's highlighting it to me, hey, it's March and you haven't started promoting your own thing. Your sales are down because you're not promoting it anymore. So either way, I hope this helps. I hope that this provides you some kind of insight. Please make sure in the comments below, tell me what your strategy is, how you're getting things done, and if this helps you when you start doing it, especially the index cards. This is probably one of the #1 things that changed the way that I worked on YouTube, is when I took my real job method of keeping up with everything to my YouTube channel, which is this. This is where it really made a big difference in my channel growth. Hope it helps. We'll see you on the next time. Please give me that like and subscribe down at the below. At least subscribe so that you can see the next video. This channel is just getting started, but I'm going to keep pushing, and hopefully you can be there for the ride. Thanks for watching.